Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be looking at using marks as a focal point on your art journal page. So I'm starting in my Dina Wakley journal, and as usual, it's Niamh here. I didn't really have much of an idea of what I was doing this day, so I started off how I usually start off when I don't have much of an idea, and I just tore up some stuff that was sitting around my desk and stuck it into my journal. So these are all sort of vintage bits of text and music and so on. You can see on the page next to me. I'd used some of this in the background, so it was still floating around my desk. I thought, oh well, it's sitting here, let's just glue it in. So I'm just using some gel medium to glue it in. I haven't glued it all over the page, but just enough to break up the white background, make me think, oh, what am I going to do next? So once I had dried off the surface, then I got out my paints and I started painting onto the background. And I am actually using my gel brush, my gel brush. I was going to say my gel brush gel, to spread out the paint. So you can see it's really translucent. So the reason for that is the gel medium is acting as a little bit of an extender and just spreading out the pigment in the acrylic paint a little bit more. So I haven't really cleaned my brush, haven't put it in water. I'm just using what is on the brush to spread it out. With most of the pages I do, I really don't use all that much paint. I find, less is more. You can always add more. It's really hard to take it away. The final thing I'm doing is I want just to deepen up some of the colours. So instead of using a brush, I'm actually just using my finger to spread it out and just blend it in a little bit more. So I know some people don't like using their fingers in their work, and I totally get that. But it does help you get that softened edge to your blending as you're doing it. So as I was just playing around, I really like the colours I had here, but I didn't really know what I was doing. So I went on to my next step when I don't really know what I'm doing, which is just put in some stencil work. And my little rule of thumb for stenciling to know when it's enough is when I've used up the paint. And if I really like it, like there, I would just put out a little bit more paint. So you can see I am using up absolutely everything on my sponge. I am stenciling it away until there is none left. So I've got some really bright areas of stenciling where it's quite thick, and then I keep stenciling away. So, I've got some duller areas sort of where it fades into the background. The stencil I'm using is from an Australian designer, Natalie May Scrapbooking in South Australia. So I'll leave her a link in the description box below, but you can get lots of these sort of mark making stencils, and they're really handy ones to have around, particularly if you are not confident in doing your own mark making. Same with mark making stamps, you can use those in the same way. So if you didn't want to stencil and you'd rather stamp, you could use some mark making stamps to do that. Chevron stamps like this are stencils or stamps are really handy ones to have, because they give a great line of direction to your page. So you can force the eye to look in different directions from the way you stencil. So I have found, as I have been sort of doing this, when I want something to be a focal point with my mark making, I get a more organic, freer line if I actually paint with drawing ink or black acrylic ink onto my page. I just find I get, these beautiful thicker lines. It really stands out in the background a little bit. I'm really loving this shape. You can see on the page next to me as well, and if you followed this channel for a while, you know that this is a shape I love to use. And it's really easy to draw. It really is. It's something you can sit down and doodle with and come up with the shapes. So just have a go and have a practice. You can see that they're not even. It's, one side's big, one side's little. It's okay. And for those of you who have listened to me talk about mark making in the past, doing 2 or 3 lines and making it look sketchy actually makes it look better in the long run. Because it looks like it's supposed to be imprecise, that you've actually done that deliberately. So feel free to just go nuts. So once I have drawn out my lines, I'm now going over with a white paint pen. A word of warning here, which I didn't do. I did dry it off slightly, but I needed to actually leave it for a little bit. You can still see a little shiny bits where the ink isn't 100% dry. I'm just going over and outlining with the white paint pen. Now what that does is it sort of pulls the black, doesn't make it as strong on the page. You can still see it, but it helps balance it out a little bit. Now on screen that looks like it dulls it down completely. You still in real life get that nice contrast of black and white, but it's just a really great way to sort of control your the darkness on your page. So if you find you've made a really thick line, by drawing over it with a white paint pen, that's going to divide the line up, make it look, you know, less in your face. So again, with the little scallopy shapes, I'm doing the same thing, just going in and drawing over the top of them, just sort of giving them a little bit of an outline or a highlight. You can see that really thick line down near the gutter of the book. Sort of by drawing down that, it sort of split it up and didn't make it as huge in the background. So it's just a nice way to balance everything out. So when I had done this, I really liked my page, but I wanted to add something to it. So I decided that I would write a quote in my book. I find my quotes on Pinterest, or, you know, if I'm scrolling through Facebook and someone's written something up that really, you know, speaks to me, I add that in, or take a photo of it so I can go back and, you know, add it into my journal at a later date. I'm finding a lot at the moment, and I think it's because of the year we've had and probably the year we are having. I've had to write myself some quotes to say it's okay, you're doing okay, you've got this, celebrate what you have done. And I have found that helpful for me. Now that's just for me, some people may find it helpful, some people may not, but just being able to flick through my journal and go, oh, okay, yep, I remember doing that day, I remember needing to tell myself that, and having it there, I just find really handy for me. So this one says, be proud of how you've been handling the past month, celebrate your strength. Because we all need to do that. Each and every one of us are pretty good at, you know, getting through things, because we have to. So the nice thing about particularly having those sort of leafy leaves is if you have got a quote in mind beforehand, you could sort of plan out and leave a bit of a blank space. I didn't do that. I just drew in the leaves, obviously, and then sort of worked my words around it, but I kind of like how they sort of bend and shift around. And to be honest, if I had to write over the top of those leaves to get my quote in, I would have done that. So don't feel that just because you've got something drawn in the background that you can't write over the top of it. The last thing I'm doing is going through and highlighting my words, just putting a little bit of a highlight on it. So in the close-up, you can see how just putting that pen work over the black really helps pop it out from the background and balance up the whole page. So I hope you think about using your mark making as a focal point in your journals. It's a really easy way. It's sort of a great mindfulness exercise, and it means that you're not always putting your mark making in the background. You know, you work hard in doing that mark making, so it's really important to celebrate it as well. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye for now.